I was going to be a dentist. That's what mature people do, and that's what make mom and dad very happy when you tell them you're going to be a dentist. And but I made a promise, and just as I graduated from high school, I was getting bored with God. I did not grow up in a Christian home, but I did find a Bible, a New Testament, and read it several times and really liked it. But it was like, okay, this is all theory. How about a little action, says the 18-year-old boy. And a friend of mine said, well, the reason you're bored, Billy, is because you're only part of a Christian. And I'm going, what? And he said, you've got all the business about getting saved down. Your theology is okay, but he's not your boss. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, Lord. I said, come on, I don't go and rob banks and kill people. He says, yeah, he said, but I'll make you a bet. He said, I'll bet you that if you promise from this moment on always to say yes to God, always, regardless of how stupid it makes you feel, regardless of how uninformed he may be of the situation, if you promise to say yes to him, your life will be anything but boring. Well, I was young and naive and had nothing else better to do, so I said, fine, and we bet. And we bet, and nothing happened for about 6 weeks. And then things got a little exciting. I am now sitting in Seattle. I grew up in the mountains north of Seattle, near the Canadian border. I'm now sitting in a theater at the University of Washington watching the fourth movie of my life. I had seen The Parent Trap. I had seen Pollyanna, and I had seen Pinocchio. And now I'm watching The Godfather. And people are getting massacred and blood is spurting, and I'm just in shock. Haley Mills would never do anything like that. And yet these people, and what really, really freaked me out was that my friends were standing up and cheering at the end of the film when people were getting murdered. And I walked out of that theater absolutely numb. And I said, God, you know what you need to do. And thanks for asking. This is what you need to do, God. You need to raise up people to tell a story like that, whatever they're called, those movie people, and get people excited about doing good instead of evil. No, this is hot. Listen to me. All you have to do, God, is raise up these movie director guys. But every time I told God what he had to do, it kept bouncing back at me. And I kept saying, well, no. I'm a dentist. I'm pre-med now. Leave me alone. But because of this promise, always to say yes. Finally, after several weeks, I finally said, "Fine, I'll be a movie, whatever they're called." And I changed my major to become a filmmaker. There was no film department at the University of Washington at that time. Sent out resumes to every film school I could find. No film school would take me. I wouldn't take me. I mean, I didn't even know how to watch a movie, let alone make one. The only school that would take me was in Rome, Italy. Country kid in the mountains, now in Rome, Italy. And I discovered something else once I got there. They don't speak English in Rome, Italy. I barely speak English. So now we're really up a creek. And I'm going, come on. But again, the impression I get is you were bored, remember? And so I went to film school there. I was the class moron. Everybody made fun of me, and they should. And I'd say, what's he talking about? They'd tell me. I still didn't know what they were saying. I learned one phrase in Italy. I think it's dove gabinetto. Where's the bathroom? You need to know that in a foreign country. So I, after humiliating myself, but having an interesting time, moved back to Seattle, got married, moved down here into Southern California to become a rich and famous film director. Discovered they already had plenty of those. They didn't need any more, but thanks for playing. And proceeded to starve. But we really didn't starve. We just became experts at eating macaroni and cheese. And I'm going, God, I don't understand. I mean, it's been quite a ride already, and it's not been boring, but I and the phone rings, and I was directing for free stage play in Los Angeles, and a TV producer had seen the play, and he calls up and he says, "Bill, would you be interested in writing for our TV series?" And I'm going, "Come on now, knock that off, God. I know what you're up to." So the ultimate test was, I asked them, "Do you pay?" They said, "Oh yes, we pay. We pay 25. I'll be there." And I hung up the phone and I broke into tears, going, "Come on." I remember just sitting in the shower going, "God, what have I got myself into?" And I wrote the world's worst TV show. It was so bad, and I'm not exaggerating. It was so bad that I'm watching it, and I picked up the shoe and threw it at the TV set because it was my own show. It was so embarrassing. But it's the only game in town, so I wrote another one. This time the producers were smart enough not to buy it. I wrote another one. They didn't buy it. I'm not making this up. I get a call from an uninformed publisher back east that says, "Mr. Myers, we understand that you're a famous Christian TV writer." And I'm going, "Go on." And he said, "If you could just take time from your busy schedule of starving, would you write a book for us?" And I asked him, "How much do you pay?" And he told me, and I said, "Sure." And I hung up and broke into tears again, going, "Ah." And I wrote the world's worst book. By the grace of God, I've been to eBay and every place else. I bought up every copy I can find, and nobody will ever know what it is. It was terrible. But apparently it was, for whatever it was, they asked me to write another one. And I wrote another one, and it was almost as bad. And then another, which almost didn't stink. And I gradually learned my craft in front of the public, which is not a great way to learn writing, I might point out. And that was about 120 books ago. And that was all the stuff that Tina was talking about ago. So I didn't coast by any means, but he tricked me into writing, because I would never have written to this. Well, by the time I graduated from high school, for pleasure, I think, well, Cat in the Hat's a book, right? So I read 3 books by the time I graduated from high school for pleasure. It was just not something that interested me. And the same thing with movies. So all of this, and it just continues. I mean, I could bore you for an hour just telling you about these crazy adventures I get pulled into. But it all comes down to this willingness to do whatever he wants, no matter how absurd, no matter how unqualified. Hey, it's not my fault. I tell them, but they don't believe me. They think, "Oh, he's being humble. Isn't that sweet? He must really be good." So it's just a matter of being open. And you know, some of you may not be called to be writers. You may be called to be dentists, and that's okay too, right? It's I did not know. The only hint that I had any gift in storytelling was it was easier for me to make up stories for the book reports in high school than it was to read. So when we give our oral book reports, I'd stand up in front of the room and just make up a story. And some of the kids were so impressed with the story that they went to the library to try to find the book. And of course, then I got busted, and it got ugly after that. But that was the only indication I had. You talked about McGee and Me. I got McGee and Me the same way, Tina. I got a call from another uninformed gentleman who said, "Mr. Myers, we're inviting." I just directed a little children's film for what is the cancer hospital? St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Just a little 10-minute promo for them. But it was so odd that the production company wouldn't hire me to do any more. But then this guy happened to talk to the production company. He said, do you know anybody that's really weird? Well, my name came up. So he says, we're inviting 18 of the most creative Christians in the country to get together at the Ritz-Carlton, and we're going to create a children's TV series. Are you interested? And I said, what class? Do you pay? He said, yes. I said, sure. Hung up. Almost didn't go. Show up, embarrass myself. Everybody's in their little groups, and I'm like, it's like I've got lettuce on my teeth and my fly is down or something. I just don't fit in at all. And one group's over there going, well, yes, when I was helping Ron Howard with Happy Days, I said, Ronnie, and I'm trying to fit in, right? So I've got my hand. Yes, Bill. I've seen an episode of Happy Days. Yes, I'm sure you have. Anyway, there's another guy over there that was anyway, I just didn't fit in. I went up to my room, absolute truth. I made an excuse, got up, went up to the room early, and again, being the mighty man of God you see before you, broke into tears again, going, God, no offense, but you're way over your head on this one. I know I promised to say yes. I'll make up a story tomorrow. I'll also make up a lie. We're good, I know, but I'll ask for forgiveness later on. And say that there's an emergency and I have to go home. Deal? Of course, I didn't get any answer from him, so I figured that was the same as yes. Right. So yeah. Anyway, I show up and they say, well, Bill, what do you got? I say, kid with a cartoon friend. Look, hey guys, there's an emergency. Well, Bill, tell us a little bit more. I got nothing. I said, yeah, he lives in a house. Oh, he lives in a house. Right. But what else? It's a big house. Okay. This goes on for two and a half days. It goes on Saturday, Friday, half of Friday, all day Saturday, most of Sunday. And finally, everybody is sent home except me. And the guy with the check, the grant, says, well, Bill, it's become very clear to us that you're the man that has been called to quarterback this new series for us. I thought he was keeping me after to make me pay for my hotel because I was such a slug.
That is so good.
But I did some acting in my macaroni and cheese days, so I was able to go, oh, well, yes, of course, that makes all the sense in the world. I would be the man you would choose. What exactly do you... That's how I got McGee and Me. The keys to my success are I'm a crybaby, I'm a coward, and I'm a loser. But even though I'm scared to death, I say yes to everything I think that he's asking. And sometimes there's some things he's not. But I keep saying yes, and he keeps taking me these places I would never have dreamed. It's been a remarkable journey. And I'm sure everybody around this table is committed to God. And I'm not saying, well, yes, you need to be like me. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's an attitude of the heart that says, okay, this is terrifying, but I'm in. I told my wife when I die, I don't want a Bible verse on my tombstone. I just want a little picture of a man jumping off a cliff screaming, here we go again. It's like most of my Christian friends get the ticket that says, yes, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and they get into the stadium and they sit down. And Jesus is on the playing field saying, okay, come on down and play. And all my friends are saying, nope, nope, nope. I've got the mortgage. I've got the kids, got those car payments. I'm good right here. And Jesus is going, anybody? I'm in the stands going, ooh, ooh. And Jesus goes, come on, anybody else? Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, Bill. And I come down on the field, and yeah, it's terrifying when you see a 5,000-pound linebacker running at you, and you kind of go, Jesus, and he kind of goes, boom. Thank you. So my whole life is, who was I, yesterday I was telling somebody, if somebody were to write my biography, it would be my life as an imposter. Um, I think Tina and I were talking about that. One of my great fears is that somebody will find out. So, don't tell anybody any of this, right? This is just between you and me. Now, so that's how I got into this. And Tina said, well, you guys will probably want to talk about marketing books and stuff. And I'm clueless. I have no idea. And which is probably why I'm not a household name. If I felt impressed to promote my stuff, and most people are, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it might help, but I've got so many stories and I'm saying yes so many times that it's like, and I don't think this is good policy, by the way, but it seems to be the one I'm saddled with. I'm responsible for the depth of my ministry. And then, at least for now, he's responsible for the width. Yeah, well, maybe yes. Yes for me. Maybe not yes for other people. And so I'm careful not to say, yes, this is the holy road to follow. No, it's the road that, because of my lack of computer intelligence and my lack of brain power, that I'm stuck with. I'm okay with that. So I have a production. I got a call several years ago from a person that asked me if I wanted to start a film production company. And I'm looking at God going, you're not serious. And apparently he was. So somebody kind of takes care of the marketing stuff, because I'm incapable of it. I'm willing to do it, but he has to clear his voice real loud for me to fall for that one. So that's kind of how I keep my sanity. I'm always sure that this is the time he's going to drop me. I'm always sure that, well, you've been faithful for, 6,000 years, but good luck with this one. And yet he always seems to, it never goes the way I want, but it always goes the way that I seem to be the happiest and most fulfilled. And if I'm not, I spend an inordinate amount of time worshiping and adoring him and adjusting my compass to fit his, instead of trying to convince him to join my parade. And that brings us a lot of peace and joy. I don't, there's three things I don't do. The first, or try not to do. The first is I never, I try not to judge myself by what I do. Yeah, good luck with that, particularly as a male, because it's usually, what's the first question men ask themselves when they meet each other, after the weather and the ball games? It's, oh, what do you do for a living? I try not to live there, because that just makes you crazy. I'm successful. Oh, that's what I do. Then I'm not successful. Oh, and up and down and up and down and up and down. I just try to, in my mind, keep reminding myself that I'm God's favorite son, as you, daughters and sons, right? He's infinite. He gets away with that. And that my identity is not wrapped up in what I do. It's not what I do. I am not what I do. Now, that's the fruit of who I am, but that's not what I am. I am his adored son, the screw up that he likes anyway. So I try to park there all the time. So if I get a big book deal, that's wonderful. Thank you. But that's not who I am. When Tina's talking about all these accolades, I don't know who that guy is. That's a coat I put on so that people can buy my books. So I don't judge myself by what I do. I try not to. I fail all the time, but that's where I try to park. That gives me a lot of peace during the up and downs and up and downs. The second thing I try not to do is I don't judge myself by what people say. I appreciate people saying nice things, but I will not read my reviews because I'm not strong enough. If the reviews are glowing, I'm impossible to live with. If the reviews are ugly, I'm suicidal. I don't need that. I have people that I trust that tell me if if the emperor is wearing clothes or not. But I do not know the agenda of anybody else's comments. Do I love hearing good things? You bet. Do I hate hearing bad things? Same with you, I bet. 100 people can say 99 nice things about what you're writing. And a person says one bad thing. What do you remember? So I find people I trust, and I'm gracious to people that I don't know. But if I don't trust them, I don't pay much attention to them. Not because I'm being rude, but just because I'm being weak, I guess. So I don't judge myself by what I do, whether I'm successful or whether I'm a failure. I'm his favorite son. I don't judge myself by what other people say. As you can imagine, in Hollywood, it gets ugly with people accusing each other. It's a little bit like being a cruise director of an insane asylum. Because everybody wants to be loved. Most people in performing arts are in performing arts because they want to be liked and loved. And so you sort of like going around trying to make everybody feel good and yet not entirely spoiling the production. So I'm not what I do. I'm not what people say about me. If they hate me, well, I'll try to fix that. But if you still hate me, I'll get over it, maybe. And if you love me, well, thank you for that. You'll probably be my friend, but I'm not going to be paying a lot of attention to you if I don't know you. And then the third thing is, and this is probably the easiest, is I don't judge myself by what I own. My dad used to say, son, you never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul trailer. It just doesn't go with you. The best book I've written is called Rendezvous with God. And I pretty much would write myself into the premise is an agnostic professor finds himself being dragged back into time and has off the record conversations with Jesus Christ. And he doesn't know when it's going to happen. It ties in with his own problems that he has at home. And so they go back and forth, and Jesus is the only one that can see him. So they have these great off the record talks. And of course, Jesus knows all about his life as well. But what I would do is I would purposefully, because I've written so many stories, I'd on purpose write a story or write a scene where I didn't know where it was going. And I'd write myself into a corner, and then I'd turn to this chair that this dog is sitting on now, where I pretend Jesus sits when I'm writing. And I would turn to him and I'd go, now what? And then I'd sit in silence and solitude, and an idea would bubble up. And then I would write it down. I've never written that way before. Those of you that have read my thriller and suspense stuff, I have that all outlined. But this isn't something entirely different, particularly if you're going to speaking for Jesus. It might be a good idea to try to get it halfway right. So the solitude and the silence, I really do think it's my best book. It's least has the most amount of God's presence in it, because I tried a new way of writing, and that was just sitting in silence and solitude and waiting on the Lord. So I'm done.